All right. Hello again. Um, so this is going to be a different video. Not going to talk about the economy. Not going to talk about retirement or resiliency, anything like that. Just going to kind of talk for all the military retirees, or even people who are currently in the military, or even thinking about getting into the military. I'm just going to kind of talk about uh, like real high level of my career, why I joined and why I kept on re-enlisting, and uh, at least to me, it's kind of entertaining. I think I've had a pretty interesting career, um, but yeah, so I'll get into it. Way back in, once upon a time, when uh, I was like, so I graduated high school '96, went to Texas A&M, and for a while I was wanting to be in the military. I think I grew up in the Desert Storm kind of hit me at the right time, and really wanted to be in the Air Force, just so I could fly jets and all that stuff. So graduated high school, went straight to Texas A&M, was in the Corps Cadets, and uh, I kind of majored in the Corps Cadets and not academics. I did really poorly, and so bad that I basically got kicked out. Um, the Corps Cadets at the time, uh, the outfit that I was in, it also had gotten disbanded for hazing. So at the time, I thought all the stupid games that we played were fun, and the more you played those games, like the tougher you were, kind of thing. Um, Now that I've done like 20 years in the military, it my opinion is that it's completely different. It was very it was straight up hazing. It was very it did build camaraderie. Like nobody got injured or anything like that. But it was counterproductive, and probably in no small part of the reason that I my academics suck so bad, and like I had to basically leave the next year, or at the end of the year. The next year, went to a community college. Mind you, I live way out in the middle of nowhere, so like I had it was a 45-minute to an hour drive to school, and I also worked full time. So I did that for about a year. I would leave early in the morning. I would start school. I'd go to school, get off school, work. Uh, you know, kind of like I don't know how many hours I worked, but it was like 30 to 40 hours a week. Um, and after that, I would usually go to like a Denny's or an IHOP for 3 to 4 hours, and I would start studying. Uh, and I did this like an entire year. There was times where like it was way late, and I didn't want to drive um, an hour in the middle of nowhere, so I just got a hotel and I slept for the night, and then I woke up and I did the entire thing over again. So I got burned out after a year of this, and like essentially I said, screw it, I'm just going to join the military because I didn't see a direction, I didn't see an ending, um, and I was just kind of like goalless, and I just wasn't in a happy place. So I joined the military, joined the Marine Corps, um, did boot camp, uh, went to LEV school, and I pretty much loved that as a career. And I think so. I joined the Marine Corps in '98, did all the stuff. September 11th happened, and like from then on till like probably about 30, like I was like I don't even remember my 20s. Um, or in that first enlistment, I had gotten married. Uh, I got married on a Sunday. I went to the field on Monday, and I thought at the time we had 2 or 3 months for until like our deployment. While we were in the field, they bumped the deployment early, and I came back. I had about a week and a half, and then we went on deployment. My wife, who is Mexican, like a card carrying, she has a passport, like Mexican. She's a citizen now, but at the time she wasn't. Um, she was pregnant, and like we didn't have like base housing or anything. The first round of the time we worked with base housing, and she was able to get a house on base uh, about a week and a half, 2 weeks after I had left, and she had friends that helped her move in. So we do the deployment. Usually deployments are 6 months. This one was like 7 months. Came back. So it would have been 2002. Came back to, the kid was born, and uh, had some time off, and then as soon as he got back, started going to the field for training because uh, the OF1 was going to happen, and I pretty much knew it was going to happen. On that first deployment, we went to Saudi Arabia, and there was just rows upon rows of like Army like tanks, M1s, 109s, like 113, like just everything. And unless I don't know how the Army works, but that was a lot of machinery for just sitting out in the desert. So it was there for a reason. And so we went to so I joined in '98 because I got back in 2002, and I had just gotten married, and a kid just gotten born. And again, I didn't have a degree or any like job prospects. I was like, okay, let me go ahead and reenlist because we need to do 8 years of active reserve anyway. So let me just do 8 years or like four more. So reenlist. Now I go to Iraq in 2013. We do that. Come back. And like 6 months later, like we come back. Take about like a month off, then start training again. In 2004, yeah, 2004, I leave for a deployment where we go to the 31st MU in Okinawa, Japan. While we're in Okinawa, Japan, I guess we get orders and they send us to Iraq. So go back to Iraq and ended up fighting in the Second Battle of Fallujah in 2004. So I get back from that deployment uh, mid 2005. It was a 10-month long deployment, uh, and I was a sergeant by then. Get back, and I would have gotten out in 2006, but right before that deployment, I got my wife pregnant again, and I come back from that deployment with a ready-made kid. So I missed both pregnancies. Um, so again, kind of the same thing. It's like, I also got promoted to staff sergeant. So all those things combined, like me, it's like I still don't know, what I'm going to do, and have another kid, and I just got promoted. It's like, okay, it's kind of cool, like staff sergeant. So I was like, all right, I'll reenlist again. After I reenlisted, had a first sergeant call me because I'd been at like first LAR for like 5.5 years by that point. Had a first sergeant call me and said, hey, I'm going to be in Camp Pendleton. I'd like to interview you, see if you want to go up to 8th and I. So I was like, yeah, sure, yeah, first sergeant, come on down. So he comes and sees me, checks, height, and make sure I'm not like weird or anything. Because you have to. I'll get into it, but 8th and I is a little special place. So I'm good enough. I get orders to go to 8th and I, and I'm a ceremonial marcher for like 2.5 years. So all the like the burials at Arlington, the Tuesday sunset parade, the Friday night parades for like 2 summers. Um, that's all that I did, and it was difficult. Um, it was physically demanding in some ways, but you had to be very disciplined. Your face itched, you couldn't scratch. You just had to like sit there. So it was also mentally challenging. Um, that brings us to about 2008. I get orders to turn on bombs for 3rd LAR. I go on to deployment to Iraq again in 2009. Go out, come or on the way back. Uh, say I enlisted in 2006, so I would have gotten out in 2010, but this is 2009. My CO came, and I guess the Marine Corps put out a message like, "Hey, here's this officer exchange program. Um, you should try it." Like LAR, we send a representative to Australia for their light armored cavalry, they call it, and then they send one of our warrant officers to 1st LAR. So just while I was in Iraq, just emailed my monitor. It said, "Hey, I just and I oh also I just gotten selected for gunny." It's like, "Hey, I barely meet the criteria. I was just selected for gunny. I'll probably get promoted prior to me leaving because it was about a year from then. Please consider me." And that's as like that was as simple as the email. Um, didn't think anything of it. Like I'm not necessarily special, uh, and went about my day. So we get back from Iraq, and then I get called into the sergeant major's office where he commenced to basically chewing my ass because I got selected, and uh, like the master gunner sergeants were upset because they couldn't basically dictate who went, and apparently I just pissed everybody off, and I wasn't meaning to do that. I just kind of did what my CO, said and recommended. It's like, okay, I'll just email them. But because the monitor had already picked by that point, like they didn't want to like make a fuss out of it. So I guess they just let me go. So 2010 to 2012, I go to Australia, and I go to their like master gunnery or master gunnery school in the Australian way, uh, and Australians really good guys. I loved it there. Uh, the way they operate is totally different. Um, Again, I won't make judgments on good or bad. I think there are advantages to how they operate as an army, but there's also advantages on how we do it. Um, and it's just that kind of it's purely style. But I learned a lot from them, and I actually took a lot of what I learned back with me, and as much as I could, I integrated it into what I did with my platoons while I was in, because some things just made a lot more sense. So where are we? 2010. I get back. Oh, while I'm there, I get orders back to 29 pounds. So 3rd LAR. I get there. We do another deployment. I go out or 31st MEU. Another deployment. We go to Korea, Japan, like all the fun spots. And we get back. Uh, and this would have been my 4th. Since 2012, 2014, I had to reenlist, but I went on a deployment in, I think it was 2013, because I got back from Australia 2012, got the unit, did a workup, and we deployed. And I actually went on that deployment not having enough time to complete the deployment, because there was a lot of talk. The Marine Corps was trying to reduce its numbers. I think we were like 212 or 215, something like that. And we were trying to get down to 190 or something. So they were reducing numbers, and they were talking for a long time about letting people retire early, like at 16 years. And that's kind of what I was hoping. Like I promised the first sergeant, like no matter what, like I'll do the right thing. At a minimum, I'll either extend or whatever, I'll reenlist. Because I was on my 4th deployment. So we go on to deployment. I do all the things, and I keep every day I'm reading any messages, and finally, the first, and I'm sure he was getting pressure too. He's like, "Hey, Gunny, you got to make a decision. You have to do something, or I'm going to have to send you back." And it's like, okay, was going to do something. So I was like, okay, I'll just screw it. I'll re-enlist. Raise the hand, swear in, re-enlist, and no joke, 1 week later, they come out with a message to retire early. So I think it was me. It was a couple guys. I think it was a handful of us, like staff and COs, that all put in for our retirement. I think a lot of us were burned out for 10 years, lots of deployments to Iraq. So I submitted to, I think I'd sent an email headquarters Marine Corps, or whatever the direction said. It's like, hey, I'd like to retire early. So we finish deployment, get back, then a couple weeks go by, and I get called into the battalion ops chief, the master gunnery sergeant's office, and our company ops chief comes in. It's like, hey, sorry to break it to you, you got denied, and I was upset, but I also kind of understood. He said, and they straight up said, like, you had just re-enlisted, like there's like, well, and that was pretty much why you got denied. I was like, yeah, I get it. It is what it is. But then, the master gun said, well, okay, so we have a couple of options. We're either going to transfer you to this, the next company that goes to go on deployment here in like 6 months, or you can take these orders that came down on a integrated task force where we're, testing out females in, some of the combat MOSs. And I literally just gotten back from a deployment, and I think that was deployment number, deployment number 5 at that point. And I was like, man, I don't want to just go right back out there. That would have been number 6. Like, okay, I'll take these orders. So get the orders, and no joke, like I think 2 weeks later, I get orders from Twin Palms, California, to Jacksonville, North Carolina, and we go there. I was a, what do they call it? A monitor, ombudsman. I think it's like an ombudsman. It's been hard. It's been a while. I think it's an ombudsman. Basically, I wasn't training. I wasn't in charge of anybody. I was strictly a third party monitor to watch to see how fair everybody was being, how whether the testing or the training that everybody was doing was like actually functional and realistic and stuff that would actually happen. So make sure we're not abusing the process or anybody like that. And it goes off fine. And I'll keep my opinions by myself, but I will say, all the females we had, like in LAR, and even with like the tanks and the AAVs that we were with, they all ended up being able to complete every task. Granted, wasn't quite as long as like just a guy who can manhandle stuff, but the test was done as fairly as possible. Learned a lot about because like I learned a lot about just females in general in the Marine Corps because I was infantry, LV, crewman, and we had never had females in any of the companies, so I just wasn't used to it. But the females were very creative on how they accomplished tasks, but when the chips are down, like they just females aren't they don't have the physical capabilities of guys, so they have to be more inventive. They can't just brute force stuff. But the experiment with the way they went, they had the results. Marine Corps made their decisions, and now we have, to my knowledge, females in all the units. So everything's like fully integrated. So it takes me, it was like 2016, no, 2000, that would have been 2000, I think 14 or 15. So that was only like a year and a half long. So we finished that, and then just because I'm in Jacksonville, they send me to second LAR. And so second LAR, I get there, get to my unit, and I jump in because I guess they had some problem with the staff NCO that I replaced. But I went to the unit and deployed. But I think I was gone within a month, or it might have even been less. And I'd always wanted to do that, um, but after having gone through it, I don't really like it. I didn't. I bonded, with the company and all the Marines while I was on deployment, but it would have been better had I gotten there like 6 months before to actually bond with them, because when I went, I didn't know everybody's name. There was a couple of names that were hard to pronounce. And it was just a timing thing. Like that's it. Uh, it. So if you're ever in that situation, like, it's not quite as good as you think it will be. I think you probably need more than a month, but I think 5 to 6 months would be like more than enough, um, to get to the point where you're bonded and you're a part of the unit when you actually deploy. Um, so yeah, that is it. Kind of is what it is. So I go on that deployment. This is a med float, so my first Mediterranean float. Get to go to Israel, Greece, France, all over the Middle East, stuff like that. Really good deployment, and that was a nice stopper for the career. So I get back from that deployment, it's like 2016. Um, my Because I'd been a gunnery sergeant for quite a while at that point, I was finally eligible, and I'd gotten passed over twice. Um, I got passed over the first time because it was just a timing issue, and also like I hadn't gone to the advanced course. Went to the advanced course. Went to the advanced course. Went on deployment on that last deployment, and then when I was on that last deployment is where I got passed over the second time. And for non-Marines here, as a staff NCO, when you get passed over twice, like that's it, your career's done. It just happened to work out. Um, Good timing on my part because I was going to be able to actually retire. Retirement's not a guarantee. So I got passed over, and like it's like, all right, that's my career. Um, and over that course of that 2 years, I I decided like, okay, well, I need to figure out what I'm going to do afterwards. I've always liked computers, always kind of been into it, and I was kind of getting into like cybersecurity. So I spent the next 2 years finishing my degree in information systems security, but basically it's cybersecurity. And I was able to finish my degree a few months before I retired. Um, Throughout my whole career, I have had two shoulder surgeries, and I think were directly from me climbing on and off the vehicles with like all my equipment for 20 years. I think just a constant like pulling and letting go and getting down off the vehicles. I think just over time wore the shoulders out. I had also um, lifted a lot of weights, and that probably didn't help my shoulders. Like I was doing powerlifting for probably the last half of my 10 years in the Marine Corps. Didn't help my running at all. Ended up hurting my back to the point where uh, I had a thing, and it's still there. But if I walked, like I would have like massive amounts of nerve pain running down my leg, almost like I forget what they call it, the piriformis muscle whenever it tightens up. Um, but that to the point where I would have to like sit down. If I sat down, I was okay. If I ran, I could run all day long, and I would never get that feeling down the leg. But if I walked, I got that feeling. Um, and it's still there. Like my back is really weak. I don't do squats anymore. Definitely don't do deadlifts. And there'll be times where I bend over to I don't even have to do anything. Like I tie my shoe. Sometimes I can pull uh, my back out. If I've had it to where like I've literally just sat there and my back just I can literally feel it tighten up. I don't do a thing, and then when I like I guess I call it tweak my tweaked my back. I'm in a lot of pain for about a week or two before it kind of slowly dials down. Well, that's pretty much it. Kind of like I didn't this is probably going to end up being close to 30-minute video. Out of all that, I never intended on re-enlisting. Like there was a reason that I re-enlisted every time. The first enlistment or the when I re-enlisted the first time, it was because I just got married, just had a kid. When I re-enlisted for the second time, it was because I just had another kid and I was just promoted to staff sergeant. When I re-enlisted for the third time, it was because I just gotten selected for gunny and I had orders to Australia. I was going to deny that. I was going to get out on my fourth enlistment, or after my fourth enlistment. I literally put in to retire early. I got denied. So I did my fifth enlistment, and then I got out. I retired. And I can't believe it's I think 7 years. I'm working on my 8th year now. So time flies. But I think I've had an interesting career. I didn't do MSG. I didn't do recruiting. Didn't do drill instructor or anything like that. I think I even skipped my very first enlistment. I went to 4th LER as an active duty person in the Marine Corps. Like usually, like 4th LER, 4th Battalion, 4th MARDIV. Like that's all reservist. But I was part of an active duty unit at the I&I staff, and I got to mess with the LAV-AD, which is the LAV with Stinger missiles and a 25 millimeter Gatling gun, which was awesome. Think like an A-10, but on a tank, but not 30 millimeters. That would have been even more awesome. But I was in 4th LAR, I was in 1st LAR, 3rd LAR a couple times, 2nd LAR, did all the LERs. I was 8th and I, got to go to Australia. As bad as it may sound, I actually got to go to combat and do my job. And I think it was I'm happy with my career. Turned out pretty well, and met a whole bunch of good guys. So if you're in, those are things to consider. Should I re-enlist? Should I not? Kind of just depends on the person and the situation. If you have retired, hey, highlight some of the cool things that you did on your career. I'd be interested to hear about it. If you're thinking about joining, just understand that it's a lifetime commitment, and you write a blank check to the government to take everything to include your life. And hopefully it doesn't happen. Hopefully the government doesn't cash that check, but sometimes it does. But you can learn a lot. I think if you don't want to go to college and you don't really have a direction, I think the military is a very good place to learn. Like sometimes just 18 years old, it just is too soon. But I think doing enlistment in the military, it'll definitely kind of focus you. You'll either hate it and want to get out, or you'll love it and you want to stay in, or anywhere in between where it's like, oh, okay, now I know. I'm really interested and I wanted to do this. And you have 4 years of developing developing work ethic. 4 years of maturing, and a lot happens in that first enlistment. So, I hope you like this video. A little bit different. I'll kind of follow it into like a military playlist. But if you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you have any comments, I'd love to hear them, especially from retirees or guys that are still in the military. And yeah, that's the video. I'll see you in the next one.